what is ahead of us for 2025. And my question again, and the theme tonight is, where do we go from here? All right, you guys ready to come on this deep dive with me? Let's see what's been going on in the mainstream media. You ready? Let's get into it.
Stephen A., your thoughts on the election as it just went down?
I was surprised at how lopsided it was. I was not surprised by the outcome.
Right.
I saw the outcome coming from a mile away. You have to take into account, listen, we respect our president, Joe Biden, but here's the reality. He got into office. He promised to be a transitional president, to be a stopgap to pave the way for somebody else to come on board. Into the midterms, it was supposed to be a red wave. It did not happen. The Democrats was flying high. He felt the momentum because he was the incumbent. And instead of leaving, he decided to stay. Yeah. When he decided to stay, the Democrats were in a quandary because they were expecting him to leave. Now he wants to stay.
First of all, is this Barack Obama or is this Stephen A. Simp? I mean, last I checked, Stephen A. Simp, okay, because I refuse to call him by his real name. Stephen A. Simp, okay, was talking a whole other ballgame. Okay, he was talking a whole other ballgame. And this is what I mean when I say, what's next? What's next? And when I say what's next, I mean, what is next for the mainstream media? I mean, clearly this man has lost his mind. Or he never lost his mind. He's been sane the entire time. See, what I'm about to show you here is what frauds these people actually are. Now, I'm going to let this continue. But you're telling me that Stephen A. Smith, okay, who was telling everybody to vote for Kamala, and we got to, and Kamala's going to win, hands down, and now he's not surprised with the election results? This is a joke, right? I digress.
Now he wants to stay. They're around him. They're seeing the fastball has dissipated to some degree. They're seeing that he's not what he used to be. And what do you do about it? You grease the skids. There's no primary for him to experience. You let him go on stage June 27th, and clearly he was exposed. 3.5 weeks later, he's forced and compelled to step away because donors to the Democratic establishment, they were not going to support that. And then Kamala Harris is inserted because...
Inserted? Now, first of all, he said Joe Biden was fine, okay? They all said, Joe Biden is fine, everybody's fine, all right? He's one of them, along with these hacklers on The View, okay? These hags on The View. They all said Joe Biden was fine. Now, clearly, he stepped on stage on a debate, and now, he wasn't, we all knew it. You all knew it. You got on television and told everybody he was fine. I'm just making that note there.
Because you were inserted, even though you were the vice president, and it was the Biden-Harris administration, you had folks who are independent. I'm not talking about those on the right. I'm not talking about those on the left, just independents, who said, wait a minute. She didn't experience the primary either. And the last time we saw her in the primary was 4 years ago, and she didn't even make it to Iowa. They used that as an excuse to point to her level of inexperience. Then you got the war in Russia and Ukraine. You got the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, Hamas and Hezbollah and all of that stuff. And you had Trump using codes. Look, do you want her? Where is she? Where's the interviews? Where's she showing herself? Where's the tough questions? Where's the interrogation? And he leaned on certain things.
Is this some kind of joke? Stephen A. Simp has lost his mind. Okay, first of all, hold on here. Okay, I watched countless episodes of his own podcast. Not his, his own personal podcast, okay? Him discussing on how amazing Kamala is and why we have to vote for her and how great she did in the he never mentioned once that she was installed. He never mentioned once that she did terribly here or terribly there. He was telling every black man to vote for her. He basically was, reiterating what Obama said in that clip that went viral, okay? So what this proves, first of all, is that Stephen A. Smith, okay, Stephen A. Simp, and all of these pundits, okay, knew all of this, but went along with it, okay? So he's a fraud. Enough said. He's a fraud.
And you knew people were going to gravitate to that because right now, as divided as our country is, fear comes associated with that. And because that fear was there, he fed off of it.
Yeah.
And people bought it, hook, line, and sinker. And that's why he's the president.
Because every
Hold on, Stephen. No, child. I'm not going to let you get away with that. Trump did not feed off of fear, okay? Can you even believe he just said that? Trump did not feed off of fear. He fed off of the bad results of the Biden administration, period.
That's why he's the president.
Because everybody remember he originally said he was just going to do it for 4 years.
Right. That's what I brought up.
Right. And did you think that once you know who stepped in, he said, well, there's nobody, we don't have anybody.
Well, the point is that it's not about who you're going up against when you know you're.
First of all, Whoopi, you know who stepped in. Is she talking about Kamala? You mean when they installed her? She didn't step in. She was put there.
Anybody.
Well, the point is that it's not about who you're going up against when you know you're not what you used to be. And see, this is where covering sports puts me at a distinct advantage. I cover people every day where it's time for you to go, but you're holding on and you don't want to leave. People who cover the world of sports are accustomed to seeing that all the time. And so now here you are, to answer your question directly, you are the left, you leaned, and you were a prisoner to the extreme left in a lot of people's eyes. Well, guess what? Most of America doesn't operate on the fringes. Whether you're left or you're right, you're relatively centrist.
Is he insane? Oh my! Now Stephen A. Simp he's in the center. He's a centrist. Is this a joke? Have any of you seen him on his show spewing hate for anybody that didn't vote for Kamala? Because I did. I watched it over and over and over again. Okay, I got so heated one time, I even made comments in his chat. Okay, and people were agreeing with me and they deleted it. I'm not saying anymore. This man is nuts. He is nuts. He is absolutely nuts. This is days later. I mean, can you imagine how quick these people would just turn it around? They'll just turn it around. I mean, this is absolutely so insane to see him sitting on The View schooling them on why he knew all along that Trump was going to win. Crazy.
You believe in compromise, negotiation, working with one another. Nobody gets to get everything they want. The problem is those on the fringes continuously push for you to get everything you want.
Yeah.
They're not about getting things done. They're about getting their way. And if they're not going to get their way, they're about complaining. And in this particular case, the Republicans were right.
So you think the Republicans?
He said the Republicans were right. Oh my God. Guys, make note of this. Make note of this. Okay.
Do you think the Republicans are sort of an extreme fringe party?
No, I don't think that they're an extreme fringe party. I think that they're operating against those they believe are extreme on the left. Like, for example, when you talk about the LGBTQ community, I'm a fiscal conservative and I'm a social liberal. I'm fiscal with my dollars. I ain't apologizing for not wanting to pay high taxes to anybody. I'm not apologizing for that. Right?
First of all, I got to cut him off right there. He just said he's a fiscal conservative. Okay. He's a fiscal conservative. I mean, the word conservative and his name came out of. I'm bringing this back. Bring that up there. This is nuts. I've never seen somebody flip flop like this in my life.
I'm a fiscal conservative and I'm a social liberal. I'm fiscal with my dollars. I ain't apologizing for not wanting to pay high taxes to anybody. I'm not apologizing for that, right? But
first of all, hold on a second. You're a fiscal conservative and a social liberal. Okay, being a fiscal conservative and a social liberal, that leads to liberals, okay? Being in control of your finances. Bad. Common sense, people.
Side of that, I'm pretty liberal. Live and let live, okay? But you had folks on the left that were introducing some things when we got in the whole transgender issue and they were talking about bathrooms or they were talking about males transitioning to females and competing against girls in sports and stuff like that. These are
the 1% of the population.
I understand that,
But you know what? Out of
ridiculous.
Okay, first of all, 1% of the population, okay, males, transitioning or identifying. It's not even transitioning, okay? It's identifying. Let's not forget that Connecticut case. So you put on some dreadlocks and blue nail polish and said, I identify as a female, and then you're on the track team and you're taking all the scholarships. Okay, and let's just be clear here. Okay, this is very, very important. It's not about the high school kids, college kids, okay, the males that are transitioning or identifying as females that are joining these track teams and these sports teams, okay, being 1%. It's about when it's your daughter that has a concussion, okay, because the volleyball player that whacked the ball into her head is a male, happens to you, then it won't be about the 1%, okay? It's about common sense. Men playing against females, whether you have transitioned or you're identifying as a female or not, you're still a man. You are still a man. You have the strength of a man. That's why all these girls are getting severely injured. Okay, they want to act like it's just 1% of this and 1% of that. And by the way, also on that note, it used to be just 1% of the population, okay? Now, I just recently looked this up because somebody was discussing it with me, and I said, I really don't know if it's 1% anymore. Actually, it was Drew Boo. The gay population or the LGBTQYX, whatever, population in the country it used to be 1%. It's like 6 to 7 now. So when you do this in schools, okay, and this happens, what's next? It's 1% now, but as time goes on, what's it gonna be? I mean, they're ridiculous. Darius Coleman. Darius, this episode is for you, by the way. You asked for it yesterday and you got it. Thank you so much for the super chat. Darius Coleman says, libs and the DNC still absolutely refuse to listen to the everyday, then wonder why this election turned out like this. Yes, I swear for God. I mean, exactly. They don't listen to the people. They don't listen to the people. The people have spoken, and they spoke in the voting booths. The chef is in. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Good to see you. Women are not a costume. Exactly. You can't just go put a wig on and paint your nails and say, I identify as a woman now, and I'm going to join. And now I'm, hello, it's about the scholarships. And they were actually laughing about it, by the way. Unbelievable. Okay, I digress.
But I think that's where the mistake is made.
Yeah,
you're saying it's ridiculous. I don't disagree with you. Yeah. But most of the voters out there don't think like that.
But that means they don't have the information.
Okay, but 90% of the voters don't have the information. If you're out there busting your tail and make ends meet and to pay your bills and you're going to work every day and you got a family to take care of and you're in New York City, you're getting stuck 2 hours of your day, you're stuck in traffic. You understand? You got a whole bunch of stuff to go through. You don't have time to know what you and I know.
Maybe you need to listen to the news when you're in traffic.
Well, again,
maybe not.
Be uninformed.
What news? First of all, the woke media that news? What news? People are listening to the news. It's called X and wherever else they're getting their information. That's why they voted for Trump. And Stephen A. Smith has lost his mind. Are you hearing this? He's talking about the working class person and all these, common sense points. Where was all this common sense when he was telling everybody to vote for Kamala? And, you basically, he was saying the same thing Barack was saying. You're not a man if you don't vote for Kamala because you got problems. You got something against women. Okay, Stephen? All right, really? I mean, all that gel in your hair is going to your head, okay? I mean, what is he running from? I mean, he sounds like Obama. Actually, you know something? This is very dangerous what we're watching here. What is he preparing for? Is he the next Obama? I digress.
Or listen to stuff that's going to take you away from the things that brings down your spirit. Yeah. And that's unfortunately what most voters are doing.
Wow. Okay. You know something? I literally can't fathom how quickly Stephen A. Smith flip-flopped. Okay. But you want to know what I actually took from that? Stephen A. Smith is getting ready to run for office. Okay, there's no doubt about it. Andrew Williams is not here, but if he was, I'd be asking him because he's a sports guy. How many of you in the chat think that Stephen A. Smith is preparing to run for office? Think about the moves he's making. ESPN is dying. Sports all of a sudden, stopped talking about like a couple months ago or something. Do you notice that ESPN, all these sports, Fox Sports, they stopped talking politics. They knew Trump was going to win. All this kneeling and boycotting the national anthem and all this stuff is not happening anymore. Not happening. Jason Whitlock was talking about that. Okay? Stephen A. Smith is extremely dangerous. He is preparing to run for office. Now, let me tell you something. Stephen A. Smith is extremely brilliant, okay? He actually may be a problem here, people. J.D. Vance, which we know he's running next, that could be a serious problem. If anybody could actually run against J.D. Vance, it just might be Stephen A. Smith. Don't underestimate the opposition here. All right, let me go to the chat. Darius, wouldn't surprise me if he ran as governor of something. Yeah, I'm thinking he's going to run for president. Think about the exposure he has. He's famous. It could almost be like a Democratic or centrist, because he's center now, right? Reagan. He's famous. He's been on television for years. Oh my gosh, guys. He has the ear of men. Sports. What lost Kamala the election? A lot of men. A lot of men. And he is black. Think about how many things that he has going for him. And he's extremely smart, which is why he's flipping the switch right now. You went from total leftism to now being in the center. Okay, Nate Richardson, welcome in, welcome in. Baby, he can't run for office. Pull up that video of him boxing. No man can run after that. Well, anything goes. I mean, he could transition and run for office. I mean, are you kidding me? My producers are laughing. I mean, look at what we got in the Biden administration. I don't know who's who and what's what. I don't know who's who and what's what. None of that matters. I mean, you got the health person, in charge of this. I mean, Pete Buttigieg, adopting families. I mean, war heroes that I don't know what they are. I mean, everything's backwards. So anything goes because they've set the precedence for that. So I'm just saying. U-Haul says 2028 DNC front runner. Oh, Christian Bale. Christian Bale. Do we mean Batman or the actual Christian Bale? Hello. Van Scabbard. Yeah, but who's running against? Who else? It could be Stephen A. Smith. I swear to God, he's preparing. He is. It makes sense, right? It makes sense. All right. Okay, let's get into the next. I mean, guys, what is happening in the media right now is mind-boggling. It's actually shocking to me because I just can't believe how blatant the bait and switch is.